It's great to be here in Indian River County, and of course I want to thank Dr. Moore for your hospitality and hosting us here at Indian River State College. It's an honor to be here. Also joining me today is our good sheriff, Eric Flowers, as well as our Department of Management Services Secretary, Pedro Allende, and our state CIO, Jamie Grant. Again, we're proud to make Indian River County our fourth stop in our statewide tour to announce our Florida Local Government Cybersecurity Grant Program. This $30 million grant program will be a tremendous resource for our local governments and equip them with a whole suite of support services that we believe they will be able to use and avail themselves in order to determine their deficiencies and really provide opportunities for them, everything including asset discovery and inventory, endpoint detection and response, email security services, and 24/7 monitoring services. So those awarded in this initial 12-month grant program will have the opportunity to revisit with the Florida Digital Service and be able to extend those agreements, of course, pending additional funding. There is a very simple application process, I'm told, according to the CIO. The website is cybergrants.fl.gov, cybergrants.fl.gov. And as I mentioned, this is our fourth stop in our statewide tour, and what we've seen thus far in terms of the response has been extremely promising. We've had over 56 applications from roughly 32 counties in which individuals are applying. They're applying, from what I'm told, with ease, and we're excited about the opportunities to work with these applicants. The application deadline will be March 31st, so again, we encourage you to apply as quickly as possible. From day one, the governor and I have prioritized enhancing our cybersecurity infrastructure. We have had historic funding allocated, more than $250 million to address cybersecurity initiatives at the state level in the past 2 years. And just this year, the governor announced in his Framework for Freedom budget an additional $149 million for cyber and IT enhancements. So this funding will allow various state agencies, again, to address deficiencies, improve their security intelligence, modernize agency systems, and expand training opportunities for employees. I have the privilege of serving as the Florida Cybersecurity Advisory Council Chair, and I can assure you that the administration is committed to working with the best and brightest in the public sector as well as the private sector. And you'll hear from one of the participants that was on the private sector, and we convinced him to join us on the public sector side. But again, earlier this week, in one of our stops, I had the opportunity to visit Pasco County, work with the Sheriff's Office there, and hear from them in terms of the opportunities for our local law enforcement that this type of program like this would avail them of. And so for us, the great work that we're doing, and it continues to be done, and there'll be more recommendations from the Advisory Council, we're excited to see from Key West to Pensacola the amount of opportunities that exist for our local partners. One of the initiatives, again, that the governor has been championing is workforce education, making sure that we are creating a pipeline for opportunity for our students. During his State of the State, he reiterated his commitment to workforce development. We have made it a goal to be #1 in career and technical education and workforce development by the year 2030, and I can assure you that we are well on our way to doing so. And some of that you'll hear as well from Dr. Moore in terms of the opportunities that we've been able to partner with state colleges like Indian River and so many others throughout the state. So as we look at cybersecurity workforce, we understand that internationally there is shortages of upwards of 2.7 million opportunities, and so our administration last year made some key announcements as it relates to enhancing workforce development opportunities, in particular in cybersecurity. We dedicated $15.6 million to expand cybersecurity training, and in addition, we also announced a $30 million initiative to support workforce development in the Space Coast. And so that was a unique multidisciplinary partnership, and we're excited that we were able to even see 3 state colleges, including this one right here, be able to take advantage of those grant fundings. And again, as we look at the landscape and as we see for Florida in particular, more than 22,000 vacancies. We understand that we need to train today's students for the industries of tomorrow. So again, those are high wage, high growth opportunities. It's estimated that the cyber fields will grow in terms of need over 31%. We understand that the minimum starting wages around, the median wages around $104,000 annually. So again, great industry, great opportunity, and we're going to continue to champion opportunities to look for students to fill those gaps and those vacancies to ensure that Florida is on the cutting edge of cybersecurity. So with that, I'd like to welcome our Secretary of the Department of Management Services. As I said, he had served with us on the council counsel. His expertise in the private and public sector was so unique and so interesting for us that we convinced him somehow to come and work for the administration. So with that, I'll turn it over to Secretary Allende.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for the invitation to be here with you today and for consistently raising the bar. You and the governor keep pushing us to do better for Floridians, and that's a great thing. Excuse me. My name is Pedro Allende. I'm the Secretary of the Department of Management Services. As the Lieutenant Governor just said, nobody knows what that is. That's okay. It sounds really exciting. Most importantly, we do a lot with cyber. Jamie Grant, our CIO, is part of our team, and you'll hear a lot about the successes we've accomplished thus far with great leadership. So how we gotten there? Florida went from 0 to 60 very quickly. We had the benefit of having very little infrastructure in place, has been built very quickly. I'd say we're leading the nation at this point. We have multiple agencies talking to each other. Government doesn't do that well, including at the federal level. The unifying point is that the governor, the lieutenant governor, expect us to do this right, expect us to do excellence day in and day out. So when I was outside of government, I joined the Cybersecurity Advisory Council. The thing that's interesting about that is it's not just a say-a-lot board, it's a do-a-lot board. Its predecessor, the Cybersecurity Task Force, set the gauntlet for state government on how to improve our systems, how to develop new systems, and how to work through in building a cohesive system for cyber and collaboration, information exchange. Excuse me. Those recommendations from private sector partners, from energy to financial services to law enforcement in the public sector, have led to some real common sense recommendations, and we've been working hard to implement those. One of the recommendations was the ability to cloak the plans for cybersecurity from local governments and sheriff's offices and school boards for a public disclosure. As you're working on your security plans, before this public record law was signed into law by the governor, your plans, your work to secure your systems could have been public through a public records request. It's impossible to develop security when your very efforts draw the roadmap for the bad guys to come after you. And so when the governor signed that into law, he put local governments on solid ground again, put the first step towards being able to secure your infrastructure. And continuing that momentum, the Lieutenant Governor just mentioned our cybersecurity grants, cybergrants.fl.gov. This program will equip our local partners with valuable capabilities, build on the work of the Cyber Council, and foster cooperation across the state, from the largest state agency to the smallest local government. And we're going to do it right. We're doing it right in Florida. We're doing it, we're taking the very best that the federal government does right, doing it better with less bureaucracy, and taking what they do poorly and just discarding it. And so I can tell you that as a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security, that collaboration is key. That's what these cyber grants will help us do more effectively. And with that cooperation, coordination, and collaboration, we're going to do really great things ahead. So thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you to the governor for the leadership and the challenge. And onward. Oh, sorry, excuse me.
Great. Next, you'll have an opportunity here to hear from our state CIO, James Grant, who's been leading the Florida Digital Service. I've had the pleasure of working with him for the better part of the last 12 years in different capacities, and I can tell you there's probably no one more passionate about cyber in all of state government than this individual here, and so I'm sure you'll be very pleased to hear all the great work he's been doing in tandem with so many of our partners within the state. So with that, CIO.
Thank you, Madam Governor, and thank you all for having us today. Those of you who have ever served in a CIO role or a CISO role or some sort of executive role, you know that you can only do as much as the executive backing you have, right? You can only go as far as the CEO or the board will empower you to go, because you find a lot of what we like to call moat dragons. They exist to kind of keep progress from happening. And when I first was approached about taking this job, it was not lost on me, and the Lieutenant Governor had been the chair and done a lot of work in an appropriations committee in the legislature. Florida's historical challenges, as Secretary Linde said, kind of going 0 to 60. One of the things that attracted me to the opportunity was that it was really a blank canvas. It was our ability to kind of go fast without having to do a bunch of remodeling and measuring of things that already existed. But when I started really looking at it, it hit me that 0 state agencies had ever shared or collaborated on cybersecurity in the history of Florida, from 1845 to today. At no point ever had multiple state agencies collaborated around cybersecurity as a team sport, recognizing that bad guys and nation states and foreign adversaries want to do really bad things to us. And perhaps we should put our differences and jurisdictions aside and just start working together. And so I'm really proud to tell you that with the executive backing we have data sharing agreements with all state agencies. We have 35 agencies actively participating in the Cybersecurity Operations Center today, and that's a testament to the backing that we have, whether it's the Secretary of Managed Services, the Lieutenant Governor, the Governor, or the First Lady, who have made very clear that they'll give us the backing and they expect results. And so our ability to stand for you today and offer $30 million that we will be deploying from Pensacola to Key West is a testament to a really great team back home that does a lot of work, and the executive backing we've had to empower us and then ultimately hold us accountable. And so if you'll go visit cybergrants.fl.gov, we'd love to hear from you. We actually had a couple of webinars yesterday and saw some website traffic tick up pretty intensely, which was fun. We'll be doing a lot of these webinars, town halls, office hours with different teams interested in learning more either technically or operationally about how things work. But we've intentionally designed this program. When you ask how we went from 0 to 35 agencies, yes, it's true, the executive backing. 2, it's also true that you design cybersecurity in a way that lets your customer, your partner, maintain their privacy or their autonomy. So we don't ask for passwords. We don't ask for access to databases. We don't want to see the information that's inside your system. We will offer you incident response capabilities so that if a fire happens, you can call the firefighters, and then maybe it's not so weird to have a firefighter in your home. Or maybe it's not weird to have a deputy in your home if a burglary is happening, but then you'd probably like to go back to privacy and autonomy. And so we are offering 24/7, 365-day-a-year support to kind of monitor from the outside, to equip you with leading capabilities, as the Lieutenant Governor said, around discovering what your assets are, protecting those assets, protecting public-facing assets, so that we can continue the momentum. One way we talk about it is if you think about being a large shipping center at a FedEx or a UPS office, right? And you have millions of packages that are coming through your office. You can secure without having to actually open up, inspect, and look inside all those packages. You can notice that things are hissing or smoking and maybe call people to say, hey, a package that's coming your way, Mr. President, is smoking. Would you like us to do something about it with you? And when that's done, we'll get out and give you back your privacy. And so we would really encourage you to apply for these grants. We are really excited to continue scaling what is, I think at this point, almost inarguably leading the nation when you think about cross-jurisdictional capabilities without having to kind of invade the privacy of your digital home, so to speak, and your information. And so everything we're offering is integrated in the state's Cybersecurity Operations Center, the way that we're describing, and our team is really, really excited to be able to support you. We're kind of taking, I promise you, we're monitoring the applications that are coming in, not just by volume and number, but also the type of entity. Because as the Lieutenant Governor said, we've worked together for the better part of a decade, or more than a decade now, and things like home rule get thrown around, and unfunded mandates, and reasons why we don't come collaborate together. Well, we've got a funded opportunity. It's not a mandate. You're not going to be required to do it. You're also not going to be unfunded. And so I don't know why somebody would say no, and that's why we want to get on the road and continue the roadshow to have you come join us. And I'll close by saying, I think we hit another first, and I'll say I think. I don't know of this ever having happened before in state history, but a couple months ago, we had an agency at the state level get hit pretty hard, and they voluntarily came in and said, hey guys, we got hit pretty hard, to the Cybersecurity Operations Center. And our incident response team worked with them, the capabilities that had already been deployed with them, and we identified where the exploit was, what the bad guys had done. And we immediately routed that intel through all of our other CSOC customers. And 3 other state agencies had that exploit. They had the bomb that was sitting in their infrastructure. It just hadn't gone off yet. And so 3 agencies were saved because another agency raised their hand and said, hey, we had a problem, and the community came together to identify what that problem was, share the intel, and then go root out other bombs that were waiting to be exploited through state government. Never happened in state history before. And so we're looking to do that with you in a way that maintains, as I said, your privacy and your autonomy. Please, please, please tell your friends, tell your families, if they are in any way part of a county or a municipality, to come visit cybergrants.fl.gov or reach out to us if you've got questions. There's an email address on the application if you want to do some office hours, understand a little bit more about what we're doing. But thank you for all you do, and Madam Governor, thank you for your leadership.
So I told you we had compiled some of the best and brightest to lead and make sure that Florida has the top tier talent that we're going to need to make sure we protect our infrastructure, protect individuals' data privacy, as well as protect our citizens. And our next speaker knows a thing or two about protecting our citizens, and of course, how cyber and physical security tend to intersect, especially now these days. So with that, I'll turn it over to our sheriff.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Eric Flowers, Indian River County Sheriff, and I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor and our Governor, the Legislature, for allocating these dollars and bringing them back to our local governments. I'll tell you, our beautiful Indian River County here is almost 100 years old, and I look back, I'm the 11th Sheriff of Indian River County, and I'm envious of those guys that served before me because they didn't lose any sleep at night over whether or not Russia or North Korea was going to sneak in the back door and attack their agency. It's a world today that is so completely different. Not only are we fighting the bad guys that travel here from South Florida and that travel here from other places, the bad guys that are here on our own territory who are committing crimes in our community, but now we're watching out for North Korea, we're watching out for China, we're watching out for Russia, and that's all new. That's stuff that we never had to worry about or think about before. And so what the governor and the lieutenant governor and their team has done to allocate these dollars to local governments is absolutely incredible. It is so needed. We've had these attacks here, not just our agency, but other local agencies. It happens every single day in the state of Florida. We have very small municipal governments that have no protection, that still need these dollars every single day. I'm proud of our team. In my time as sheriff, we've implemented more technology, I think, than we probably have in the history of the sheriff's office. They sigh every time I come into the room and say, we're going to do this, and we're going to move forward with this new technology, and everything that we do touches the IT world now. And every time we do it, we add another opening to the outside world that makes us more vulnerable. And so without dollars and oversight, teams that are available to assist us when we call on them, we couldn't do what we do. So we're so very appreciative of the governor and the leadership team in Tallahassee that's allowing this to happen, adding these dollars, making them available to us, and it's really making a difference here on the ground. So thank you. We appreciate you guys being here. Thank you.
And lastly, I'd like to welcome to the podium Dr. Tim Moore. Thank you again for hosting us here and for the great work you're doing in training our future leaders in this space and others.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. All right. Good afternoon. On behalf of our District Board of Trustees, Madam Lieutenant Governor, thank you for joining us today. Secretary, Chief, Sheriff, thank you as well. Indian River State College sits at the nexus of a threat. We have over 500,000 jobs that go vacant every year because we don't have enough cybersecurity trained professionals. The state's providing dollars for us to train those individuals, those citizens, go forward. We've got to do more. Our team has worked very hard to get children from high school into college. Last year, we captured 43% of all high school area graduates that came to this college. It now gives us an opportunity, a framework to begin to train the next generation of leaders, thought leaders, executing leaders around cybersecurity. And don't forget, cybersecurity is a pernicious threat. It is everywhere. Every place you go, everything you touch is subject to be disrupted, destroyed, or controlled by someone outside of our jurisdiction, outside of our country in some cases. We're very thankful to the governor and the lieutenant governor for their leadership. The $1 million cybersecurity workforce training grant will be put to work very quickly. We're very excited about that process. We're now working with the governor now to secure over 200 acres in Okeechobee County to set up the largest and newest data center in the state of Florida. Because we don't just train them, we want to give them a place to work. Because this is all about a job at the end of the journey, a job, a high-paying job, a job we want to stay right here in the state of Florida. And for the last comment I'd like to make is this. We're very proud of what this college does. 77% of our graduates stay in this district, in these 4 counties. 92% stay in the state of Florida. $1 million grant is going to turn into $1 million back on the ground in the form of leaders, people that can do the jobs that need to be done to make this economy keep growing, to make this governor and lieutenant governor's vision happen. We're thrilled to be a part of this. Ma'am, thank you for coming today. Board members, thank you for your stalwart support. We're excited where we are. We think we're at the launch point for a very bright and new opportunity for this college, this district, and this state, and we look forward to working with you as a partner in every step of that journey. Thank you, ma'am.
Well, as you can see, what is occurring here and other colleges throughout the state is a key piece of our cybersecurity initiatives, making sure, again, that we can train future students to step in and fill those vacancies that we have across the state of Florida. I know the digital service is always recruiting, so we look forward to seeing these students work either within the state or in related fields that will be able to help Florida on its vision. So again, cybergrants.fl.gov. We always see an uptick in activity once we do an event like this, so we're hopeful that this will continue as the deadline is fast approaching, March 31st. And again, to those of you that came out today to participate, thank you very much. And Dr. Moore, again, thank you for your hospitality. Appreciate it.